Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Mallory and I am coming at you with a 36-week pregnancy update. Welcome back to my channel if you are already subscribed, and if you are not, then make sure to hit that red subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of my future videos. I am a mom to 2 under 2, a military wife, and a registered nurse, and I love making videos about pregnancy, motherhood, military life, how to have a healthy life, all that kind of stuff. So if that interests you, then make sure to hit subscribe. All right, so let's just jump into this video. The last video that I put up, if you missed it, was our PCS journey to Kansas. If you're not familiar with military lingo, PCS simply means permanent change of station, and it basically means when you move from one place to another. And so we just PCS'd from California to Kansas, and we are really enjoying it here. As you can see, I have a new background. We're in our new house. We don't have furniture yet. Our stuff has not been delivered, and I will get into a little bit of a life update as well. So this is going to be a pregnancy update / life update, because the last thing that you guys saw was we just arrived in Kansas. So let's get to the pregnancy stuff first. So the last pregnancy update I did was for the second half of the second trimester. And if you missed that, you can find it in the cards. I'm referencing all these videos. I'm actually 36 weeks and 4 days. So I'm in my 37th week. But I'm just calling this a 36-week pregnancy update. It seems like the third trimester has gone by so quickly. I think it's because all of our packing up and moving has happened in the third trimester. So I've really been focused on that and not so much on being pregnant. But things have been going very normally. So let's go through some bullet points that I wrote down here, the highlights. So one, I did an alternate test for gestational diabetes. I don't remember, I might have mentioned this in my second trimester update, but if I didn't, or if you missed that video, basically my doctor wanted me to do the 2-hour glucose tolerance test, in which you have to be fasting for that. And I was very nervous to do that because I already know that I do not do well with sugar first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And so I said, are there any alternatives? And he said, yes. And so it was to test my blood sugar 4 times a day. And so I did that for probably, I guess, a couple weeks. And he looked at it and he was like, everything's fine. You don't have gestational diabetes. So I'm really, really glad that he accepted that. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I did mention that in my second trimester update. But if you are not familiar with doing an alternate test, and you don't like drinking the glucose drink, or you don't do well with it, definitely ask your doctor if you can do this alternate test. All right, so then as I mentioned, the biggest change in the third trimester, not pregnancy related, is that we moved from California to Kansas. We had a big long road trip. It took like 6 days to get out here, but we made it safe and sound. So we moved when I was in my 34th week. And if you've been around here for a while, you will know that when we moved to California from Germany, I was also pregnant. So this is the second PCS in a row that I've been pregnant in the third trimester at that. And I was at 30 weeks with Max when we moved to California. So I'm getting a little bit used to this whole moving thing while in my third trimester. It's not the easiest thing, let me tell you. Third trimester tiredness and body aches have set in for sure. It seems like around now, like around 36 weeks, I'm now starting to get that like end of the third trimester energy boost where you realize like I'm almost at the end. I have all the stuff I need to get done, and I remember feeling this way with Max as well. Like, I think maybe it was around 37 weeks, and I realized like, oh, I've got less than a month until my due date. I need to get stuff done. And so you kind of get that boost. It only lasted, I remember, with Max for like a week, but it was really, really helpful. So definitely take advantage of that if you are experiencing that. Going back to the body aches, Some days I was in so much pain I could hardly walk. I mean, I could walk, but I definitely could not walk normally. And the worst of it was when we were getting packed up and moving. And I was kind of like limping. It was my right back hip. Okay, if anything looks different, my battery died and I had to put a new one in. So anyway, so this hip, it was the right back hip, and it was just extremely painful to move. It did not hurt when I sat. So sitting in the car driving, although it's not the best thing for your posture anytime, whether you're pregnant or not, but sitting, I did not feel the pain. But as soon as I would get up and try to move, it was just really, really painful. I had to walk really slowly. Very hard to lift things. I mean, it's already hard to lift things when you're massively pregnant, but then that just kind of compounded things. And after we got to Kansas, and then we actually went down to Texas, which I will talk about, the pain started to subside, maybe because I wasn't pushing myself like I was before. Another thing that I've been doing is I have gotten established with my new obstetrician. And I have had a few appointments. I had an intake appointment, which is where they did an ultrasound. So we got to see baby again right around, I guess it was, 34 weeks. Like it was the day after 2 days after we got here. So I had an ultrasound and got my intake stuff done and got some blood drawn. And then I have seen the nurse practitioner, and then I have seen the OB. And last week I saw my OB and talked with him a little more about VBACing, about my plans to go natural. So I'm gonna go a little bit into that. Everything's on track to do that. He would prefer that I go into natural labor by 41 weeks. He said, if we get to 41 weeks and you haven't gone into labor yet, then his preference is to schedule a C-section. First of all, I'm not really worried about that happening because with Max, I did go into natural labor despite him being breech right at 40 weeks. And so I'm really not worried. Like my body knew what to do, even though he was not in an optimal position. So if this baby continues to be head down, which at 34 weeks on the ultrasound, he was head down, and I will be having an ultrasound in a couple days to check his positioning. And as far as the doctor can tell, he is head down still. If I don't go into natural labor by 41 weeks, that would be his preference, is to schedule a C-section. However, he's not pushy about it. He said, if that's okay with you. If not, then we can talk about things and decide what to do. Like if I'm already starting to dilate, then he typically does not like to induce for VBACs. But if the woman's body is like obviously starting to prepare for labor, then he would be okay with doing a little bit of induction. So, but hopefully we don't get to that point. I definitely would prefer, if we do get to that point, I definitely would prefer an induction so I have more of a chance to deliver by VBAC. So that's great. He is, very willing to listen. I felt like there was good dialogue going on. And so that's a really good sign when you have a provider, whether it's an OB or a midwife, to have that dialogue going on. I did ask him, like, okay, what if baby turns? If he's head down and he goes breech, do you do versions? And he does, but he said the ideal time to do a version is around now, like 36 to 37 weeks. So that is why we are having an ultrasound next, or like in 2 days, around 37 weeks to just double check. I had my Group B strep swab at my 36-week appointment as usual. I'm about 1 centimeter dilated, which is great. Doesn't really mean much at this point, but I'm 1 centimeter. So another thing that he said to not worry about yet is that when he measured my fundal height, so when the doctor takes the tape measure and measures the top of your uterus to the top of I think it's your pubic bone or something like that. I'm a little rusty on my OB stuff. But basically when the doctor is measuring your uterus, that indicates if you are measuring as you should for your point in pregnancy. he did say that I am measuring a little behind. He did not tell me exactly how behind. I mean, it must not be like that much behind, because he said, don't worry about it yet. Get the ultrasound. So not only are they gonna check the position of the baby, but we're going to check his size and amniotic fluid levels, you know, because that can affect like how big your uterus is measuring as well, like if you don't have enough amniotic fluid. So we're just gonna check all that. That's way more accurate than doing a fundal height measurement, obviously, because you're getting eyes on baby. So I'm very, very thankful. I have had more ultrasounds than the average woman during pregnancy in the United States, not as much as in Germany, but I'm very happy with how many times I've gotten to see the baby. So that'll be in a couple of days, and maybe like as pregnancy over the next couple of weeks, maybe I'll do like another pregnancy update, just because, you know, at this point in pregnancy, you're going to the doctor every single week, and so there's just more to report on. And then finally, I have written up my birth wishes, and if you guys are not familiar, I did a video with Max's pregnancy about why I was not making a birth plan, and so you can find that card or that video in the cards. So I am still going kind of with the like birth wishes mindset, but I am being a little more detailed. Sorry, my nose is itchy. I can definitely feel my allergies flaring up here in Kansas, but I am being a little more detailed this time, just because I am having a VBAC, and I just want to make sure that my wishes are known a little more clearly. I think a mistake that I made with Max is that I did not share my birth wishes with my doctor. I only gave them to the hospital when I did my pre-admission paperwork. So the hospital in California had you come in before you were in labor, which was nice, fill out all your paperwork. I gave the nurse my birth plan, and so she put it into my file. But I did not bring up my birth wishes when I came into the hospital in labor and then had the C-section, and I did not talk about them at all with my provider. And I think that was a mistake on my part, and so I mentioned to my doctor this past time that I do have some birth wishes, and I would like to put it in my medical file, and I really need to talk with him about some things. I do need to call the hospital before I make my final version of my birth wishes, because there are some things in there that may be standard practice. Like he did say like skin to skin is standard, so I may not need to keep that in my birth wishes, because if that's standard operating procedure, then it's kind of redundant. And I want to make it as simple for the nurses as possible. So anyway, I have like over 20 questions I need to ask the hospital, because they are not doing tours at this time because of the Rona. And then another reason I'm being a little more detailed in my birth wishes this time around is because I learned stuff from the first time. Like when you're going into labor for the very first time, you obviously don't have personal experience. And so I guess my mindset was like, I just want to go with the flow and see kind of what happens. And so now that I have a little more experience and I have a little more idea of what to expect and that kind of stuff, I feel like I can be a little more detailed, but still not super rigid. And that's that with the birth wishes. And that's actually it for my pregnancy update. So let's do a life update, because so much has changed since I last did a sit down video. So we arrived in Kansas on June 23rd. It was like 2 a.m. or something. It was really, really late. And then on the 24th, we did a walkthrough of our house, which was so fun. It's beautiful. They did a great job. Like the kitchen, I can't wait to show you guys the kitchen, but this is beautiful too. The kitchen is my favorite spot. Just the cabinetry and everything, but this is pretty cool. This is actually an electric fireplace. There's no heat coming out right now because it's summer, but it's just kind of a cool like aesthetic. And then on the 25th, Friday morning, first thing in the morning, we closed on our house. So we're homeowners for the very first time. I mean, you know, we have a mortgage. So it's like saying like you own your home when you have a mortgage kind of feels like not authentic because it's like the bank really owns it. But anyway, we're not renting and we're not living in military housing. So we're, you know, homeowners. We really like Kansas so far. To me, it feels more like home. It kind of reminds me of Texas, just the way the people, you know, people are so friendly here. And it's a smaller town. I think it's like 50,000-ish people. And so it's like a smaller hometown feel. But at the same time, you have like everything you need. So anyway, we really like it. All right, then, so we closed on our house. Then I had my intake appointment at my OB's office. And then we drove down to Texas because we were buying a minivan because we only had one car. Since we left Germany, we've only had one car for like the past like almost 2 years, and which was fine, especially during the pandemic. You know, Mark was doing school from home and we really didn't have a use for 2 cars anyway. So we saved some money on that with not having to pay insurance and stuff. So, but with having 2 kids, and we're also going to be getting a German Shepherd, we needed a second car and a bigger second car. So we got a Toyota Sienna, and it's wonderful. Really like it. It drives really nice. So anyway, we bought it used, but it has great mileage on it. We also visited my family in Texas to pick up some stuff that we had mailed to them, like our raised garden beds. I'm going to do a bigger garden and just other stuff. Our beehive, we're going to start keeping bees. And so we had to pick up all that stuff as well. Also, it was really nice, kind of going back to pregnancy, to just be at my parents' house and not really have to do anything. My grandma came over and Max's cousin, Emmy, was there, and we just sat around and talked and didn't really do much. I was able to just relax, and it was so needed after that 6-day trek and all the stress of getting packed up and, you know, Max having that cold that he had and just everything, you know, all the stress that comes with the PCS. I really felt the exhaustion a lot more this time than coming from Germany to California, which might sound weird because an overseas move is really taxing as well. But I think, you know, with an overseas move, you're obviously getting on a plane and coming over. And so it's like that, you know, you just have to get through that 12-hour flight. Whereas with this PCS, we had to drive, you know, we were on the road for like 6 days. But, you know, I think that's way more stressful to me than like getting on a plane and just being on it for 12 hours. And plus, I was 4 weeks further along. I was a whole month further along in my pregnancy, this PCS, than with the last one. So that really makes a difference too. I mean, 4 weeks is quite a difference from 30 to 34 weeks. So, and then plus having a toddler, an almost 18-month-old, that is exhausting as well. So just like combining all of those things, I just can't tell you how lovely it was to just sit at my parents' and like have other people to help watch Max and all this stuff. But anyway, if you're a military wife, you get it. If you've ever PCS when you're pregnant, you get it, especially if you were this far along. Currently, we are back in Kansas. Like I said, obviously we're in our house, but we do not have our household goods yet. However, I do have some good news that we just found out today. Our household goods should be arriving by the end of the week, as long as the moving company can secure unpackers at this location. Anyway, so my parents will be coming up as soon as we have like a delivery date. Then they will be coming up like the day before so that they can be here to help us unpack, because oh my goodness, we definitely need the help. Like, we were desperate for the help. So and they were a huge help when we moved into our California house. However, we did have the foresight to bring along a few baby items. I did bring some baby clothes and, you know, burp cloths and stuff, and the bassinet and infant car seat, of course, just in case, you know, we were in this kind of predicament. It does look like our household goods will be here before I give birth. because hopefully I don't go into labor before the end of the week or before the beginning of next week. It is always a good idea to be prepared like that. All right, well, I am about to run out of time on my SD card, so I'm going to wrap it up, but that is basically where we are at in pregnancy and in our life. Again, we are just really thankful to be here in Kansas. We're almost halfway, almost equally halfway. We're a little closer to my parents, but Mark's parents are in Wisconsin and my parents are in Texas, so we're kind of almost right in the middle. Mark's parents actually did come and visit us this past weekend, and that was really nice. Forgot to mention that. Just to have them here, and they love being grandparents, and Max loves them, and it helped take a little bit of mental load off of me as well. Just again, having other people to watch him and play with him and just keep him occupied. You know, even though it was a very short time, it was just really great for them to do that. So in the meantime, just stay tuned. Again, make sure to hit subscribe. I will be doing some more videos on like baby prep and pregnancy in the little time I have left. So make sure to stick around for that. And I appreciate you guys, your support and following along and all your, likes and comments and things like that. So stick around. I will see you in the next video, and until then, take care, everyone. Bye.